Hello and welcome to stage 10 of the Tour de France, from Bagnères de Luchon to Plateau de Bay. These are the two leaders, it is Gert-Jan Teunissen and George Hincapie. So starting off just as we did yesterday, same two riders gone up the road. They're almost 10 minutes ahead of the peloton, and Nicasio da Silva of the Zulu Kingdom team, he is caught in the middle around 7.5 minutes off the front of this peloton. And once again, it is Lech Piasecki, as he did early in yesterday's stage, doing most of the work. So the leaders have started the Col d'Agne, a category 2 climb. Then after that they'll have the Porte de l'Airs, and then the finishing mountain of the Plateau de Bay. Here is the overall situation: Philippe Gilbert leading by 38 seconds over Stan Aukers, taking the jersey yesterday after his long escapade through the Pyrenees. Bjarne Riis up to 3rd place, 1 minute and 9 seconds, and Tommy Prem now 4th at 1 minute 32 seconds. Gilbert has not been able to get up the road today, being the yellow jersey and all, and I think he'll have a very hard time holding on to that jersey. So one of the big men of the Tour de France, the riders that we fancy for overall victory, ought to take the race lead today. And the pace has increased, and that is sent Jamaleddine Abdou-Japarov out the back of this group. But he's done well to hang on for this long, and I think he'll be safe from the elimination time. Among the riders dropped very early in the stage, Mario Cipollini, Eros Poli, and Jan Kirsipuu, so they could be in danger of missing the time cut today. And this is the situation at the front of the race. Just recently, Gert-Jan Teunissen has left behind George Hincapie. So the great Dutch climber, using the steep gradients, and he's now taken off on his own. He will score some points for the King of the Mountains. Just look at that road up to the summit. The world really does fall away beneath them in these high mountain passes. Gert-Jan Teunissen, I think, will be the new leader in the King of the Mountains jersey by the end of today's stage, because with that time gap back to the peloton, I'm not sure they can catch him on the final climb to Plateau de Bay. George Hincapie has defended that jersey with honor, getting up in the breakaways and fighting with the other climbers to score points. So Teunissen's gone up and over. Hincapie continues to suffer, and Nicasio da Silva still stuck in no man's land. Lech Piasecki looking a bit tired. Wonder if Ceramikas has other riders to send forward. Their team leader is Andrew Hampsten, who's the best placed overall on the team. He's still around 7 minutes behind on GC, losing a lot of time in the cobblestones and in that long time trial. But his teammate and fellow climber Pedro Delgado a little bit worse off, so I think Ceramikas will be working for Hampsten today. Here comes the attack by Martin Emilio Rodriguez. He's up there in the King of the Mountain standings, so perhaps looking for that final point available. So Rodriguez will take it, and Pierre Roland, the climber of Ceramikas, leading the peloton over. So that climb topped out around 55 kilometers from the finish, and the breakaway already near the top of the next climb, the Porte de l'Airs. Just a category 4 because it's not very long. Then they'll start that long descent and that journey through the valley to the bottom of the last climb. So there goes Teunissen over the Porte de l'Airs. In the virtual King of the Mountains, he now has 38 points, that's 6 more than George Hincapie. And George Hincapie at the moment is the virtual race leader on the road. But of course, he's going to lose an awful lot of time on that last mountain. I think the peloton should be able to make up that time. As for the yellow jersey battle, the talk of yesterday amongst the big contenders was Stan Aukers, but I'll hold that thought because here comes an attack by Marco Pantani on the Porte de l'Airs. So similar to his move yesterday, he's gone in the middle of the stage. Now, I have to disagree with this move by Pantani a little bit because he has to go downhill and across a long valley road all by himself, and then he'll reach the climb of Plateau de Bay. So he really should have gone earlier or waited until the final climb itself. But this is Pantani we're talking about. He'll take his chances wherever he'll take them. Rider of great panache and attacking style. But back to Stan Åkers, he was the big winner yesterday of the big GC favorites, getting almost 1 minute on his big rivals like Bjarne Riis, Andy Schleck, and Gösta Petersen. And I think Andy Schleck especially will be a bit disappointed with that, because he's supposed to be the most dangerous climber of those yellow jersey contenders. So some time to make up for Schleck. Plenty of good riders in front of him on GC. But we're into the valley, and George Hincapie has almost returned to Gert-Jan Tönnissen, so that's the advantage of having a big engine on the flat. Under 30 kilometers to go for these two riders. But Tönnissen is not waiting for George Hincapie, he's still riding at a good pace. So making things a bit difficult for the American. Hincapie must be very tired, dragging his big body over a lot of mountains already today. I think the fuel tank's starting to look a bit empty. And the back markers on the stage are just now going over the top of the Col d'Agna, so the riders I mentioned earlier that were dropped very early in real danger of being eliminated from the race, because by the time they cross the next climb, the Porte de l'Aires, I think a lot of the other riders will start at the Plateau de Bay. Meanwhile, we're coming up to the intermediate sprint point, and Gert-Jan Tönnissen will take the points, and Hincapie, who is fairly high up in that competition, scoring more points. So he was already in 5th place for that. He'll move up a bit more at the end of today. Just caught a glimpse of the virtual general classification, so Hincapie leading by 5 minutes on virtual GC. But you see how tired he's looking right now. He's going to lose an awful lot of time on this climb. So perhaps not enough time for Hincapie to get back into the yellow jersey. But Tönnissen alone at the front, and he's going to start the Plateau de Bay. So they'll swing left and then swing right, and then he'll hit that 10% wall to mark the start of the Plateau de Bay. And from there it is all uphill to the finish. 15.5 kilometers, averaging just over 8%. This is a brutal mountain to finish a bike race on. So he will settle into his rhythm, climbing up to the ski station. Plateau de Bay, not very far from the village of Aix-les-Thermes, which is very close to the border with Andorra. So once you get to Aix-les-Thermes, you can climb the Port d'Envalira Pass, which goes to the southwest. It's a very long climb, but not too steep, and once you go over that, you descend into the valley of Andorra and into the capital city. So that is the part of the world we're in right now. Pantani, he's crossed the valley road. He's now 3.5 minutes ahead of the peloton, but he's had to do a lot of work all by himself. And no doubt the pace will increase in the peloton as the riders with ambitions of yellow start attacking each other. Here comes the peloton now. They've started the climb. Pierre Rolland setting the pace for Ceramikas. Their leader, Andrew Hampston, close to the front of the group, around some Bianchi riders, and there is Philippe Gilbert defending his yellow jersey. The Evian riders a bit out of position towards the back of this group. Kelme have gotten forward with Bjarne Riis, and I think Frank Schleck is right next to him. Blackberry is here with Tommy Prim. And I believe that's Gösta Petersen up there as well, just on the wheel of Bjarne Riis. All the favorites assembling at the front of the peloton. You want to be in good position once the attacks start coming. Roland still setting a fairly high tempo. He's cut 45 seconds into the lead of Pantani. And the Bianchi riders looking to get Stan Åkers into the race lead. But as mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Gösta Petersen, Bjarne Riis, and Tommy Prem not far behind. So Stan Åkers certainly not safe ahead of the GC men, but Pantani, he's caught and passed Acosta da Silva, and then he has attacked him, so Pantani making great progress up the mountain. And Tønnesen has taken almost 4 minutes out of George Hincapie, so that is the difference a climber can make on a mountaintop finish. And Tønnesen seems destined to go out and win the stage. Pantani has also been cutting into the lead of Tønnesen, and he's already almost up to George Hincapie. So a battle developing on the mountain. There's da Silva, he's been caught. And Roland, job is done. He is just about cooked. And now somebody else needs to go and make a move, and it's his teammate Andrew Hampsten, so Roland has set it up. And the leader of Ceramigas in the mountains, Andrew Hampsten, at last has attacked in the Tour de France. The response is not immediate as Vervaeke can't hold the pace. Jean Kirken looking tired as well, and it's up to Cyril Guimard, who seems to be the last strong man left for Gösta Petersen and Lavie Claire. Now Andrew Hampsten is not in immediate danger for the overall, because he's lost a lot of time. But teams still interested in defending their place overall. So there's Hampsten in 19th place. He's 8 minutes and 30 seconds behind the lead of Philippe Gilbert. 5Ks to go for this group. And look what's happening behind. Åkers has been dropped. It's Evian who forced the next move, and it's Choman Peruena leading Andy Schleck up the mountain. He's got Pedro Delgado with him and Gösta Petersen. Bjarne Riis is not here either. Cyril Guimard looking to get on terms with this group of 4. So Åkers and Riis have been dropped. Andrew Hampsten and Ceramigas doing the damage, and the counterattack by Evian finishing those riders off. Tønnesen heading into the last kilometer, he will win the stage. Andrew Hampsten nearly up to Pantani, who seems to have cracked. And this elite group of favorites, Delgado, Schleck, Petersen, and Choman Peruena, gaining a lot of time on the rest of the field. So Choman Peruena on a great day for Andy Schleck, and that counterattack is going to launch Andy Schleck back up the standings. But Tønnesen, we missed him finish, but he's just won the stage. And by quite a lot over the next rider. So Marco Pantani, he ought to be next across the line. And Andrew Hampsten will take 3rd place. So Hampsten, well, he's had a great stage climbing up the mountain. He's taken more than a minute out of this group. And Andy Schleck, winning the sprint from the elite group of favorites, he'll take 4th place. Gösta Petersen right there with him, and Pedro Delgado as well. So the Ceramigas climbers on top form today, and Schleck and Gösta Petersen, they had work to do to make up time that they've lost, and they have certainly done that. And Eduardo shows us another Ceramigas rider in 9th place. Hincapie survives to get 10th, and the Kelme riders, well, they have taken some time losses today. Frank Schleck, Bjarne Riis have suffered on the mountain, and so too has Stan Åkers and Tommy Prem. So after today's stage, more questions than answers in the fight for the yellow jersey, as Gilbert has just crossed the line, so he is out of the race lead. Andy Schleck, Gösta Petersen, and Andrew Hampsten getting themselves back in contention to win the Tour de France. So great drama unfolding in the last half of this mountaintop finish. But of course, let's not forget the stage winner, Gert-Jan Tønnesen. Another wonderful breakaway through the mountains, taking the lead in the King of the Mountains competition. And after just missing out yesterday, he's gone out and won a stage for his team. But now we take a look at the riders trying to make the time cut. It's 1 hour 7 minutes and 23 seconds, and Mario Cipollini, I think, is just going to make it. It's going to be very close, but the riders behind him, Eros Poli and Jan Kursipu, could be eliminated from the race today. So Chippo's got 3 with 9 minutes to spare, Eros Poli just barely makes it, and Jan Kursipu, by just a couple of minutes, is the first rider eliminated from the Tour de France. So Adidas minus 1 rider for the rest of the tour. They're now down to 7. But still with their big leaders Gilbert and Pantani. There is the stage results. Gert-Jan Tönnissen of Zulu Kingdom. The team's got their 3rd stage win of the tour, and he's got it by 3 minutes 49 ahead of Marco Pantani of Adidas. Andrew Hampson of Ceramica's 3rd at 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Andy Schleck goes to Peterson and Pedro Delgado. The best of the rest in that GC group. They were 5 minutes 10 back. Choman Peruena and Cyril Guimard great in support of their lead today. And the group of Frank Schleck and Bjarne Riis losing over a minute and a half to the group of Andy Schleck. Stan Åkers even further back by a few seconds. Some more race shuffling in the overall classification. Tommy Prim suffering a bit as well. I doubt he'll still be in the top 4 in the GC. It's just like yesterday, a lot to digest, perhaps even more so, as the GC riders at last have been split up in the mountains. So whether or not Stan Åkers is in fact the race leader is still to be determined. Good to see the Spanish climbers finally get up there in the stage results. As we scroll down looking for the yellow jersey of Philippe Gilbert, and there he is, 8 minutes down on the stage winner, around 3 minutes behind that group of Andy Schleck. And Jan Kursipu, of course, missing the time cut. Eros Poli just making it, finishing over an hour behind the stage winner, but he will live to fight another day. And there is the new GC, Stan Åkers, the leader. Bjarne Riis now up to 2nd place at 27 seconds. Goes to Peterson, 3rd at 41 seconds, so he's made up almost all of his deficit from that cobbled stage. Tommy Prim still 4th at 54 seconds. Philippe Gilbert 5th at 1 minute 10 seconds, so he's still up in the top 5. Andy Schleck steadily climbing up into 6th at 1 minute 52, gained a lot of time back today. Henny Kuiper in 7th at 3 minutes 32 seconds. Hincapie, I think, just moved up a spot into 8th at 3 minutes 58 seconds. Jan Ulrich had a rough day, down to 9th at 3 minutes 59. And Andrew Hampson has finally made it into the top 10. He's 5 minutes and 1 second down on Stan Åkers. So you can see the climbers have ascended the leaderboard. And things even tighter at the top than they were at the end of yesterday's stage. And Mario Cipollini, the new leader in the Lanterne Rouge, Eros Poli right there as well. In the green jersey competition, George Hincapie moving up into 4th place ahead of his teammate Urs Feuler, otherwise no change at the top. Gert-Jan Tönnissen scored a lot of points today. That climb that he won on the Plateau de Bay was Ore category, and that was a big chunk of points. So he has a very strong lead in that competition. And Zulu Kingdom extending their lead in the team competition. So the big mountains are over, at least for now. We'll head into some hilly terrain for the next couple of stages. Should be some good battles for the stage victories. We'll see you next time for stage 11.